You know the phrase "consider the source"? You hear it a lot, and normally when it's used, it's like, oh, I heard this thing, rumor or whatever. Oh, I heard it from this guy. Well, consider the source. It means like basically take it with a grain of salt. It's not worth much. Well, there's the inverse happening here with something I just heard yesterday. Our guy Kyle Klingman put this in our group Slack, and he said, hey, did you guys hear what Daniel Cormier said about Alex Pereira? I said, I know, I hadn't heard this. I don't know when it happened. It was recently, leading up to the last UFC fights. And Daniel Cormier is doing an interview with Islam Makhachev. Now, those two have great chemistry. Love watching anything they do together. Islam actually is kind of a likable guy, which, you know, he's Russian and Russia's the enemy in USA wrestling, but whatever. Put that aside. Likable guy, obviously a great fighter. Here nor there. And Daniel said something that I can't believe it. And when I say consider the source with Daniel, it's like, well, this guy is not only one of the best wrestlers in America during his generation. He was an Olympian and a world medalist. A guy who had reached the high heights at NCAA wrestling. A guy who now is coaching one of the best clubs in America. And you look at the hammers that have come out of there, the Cortez brothers, you got Merrill, you've got Sauce Cepeda and others. It's a really, really tough group. So this is a guy that he wasn't just a great wrestler, he knows great wrestling when he sees it. And he said, I swear he said this, he said that within 2 years of wrestling training, Alex Pereira, the UFC champion, could be an Olympic champion in wrestling. And I can't believe it, but I have to say, I agree with Islam when he said, you don't believe this, brother. I cannot believe that Daniel says this, because this is a guy who knows what it takes to win at the highest level and at this weight class. And so I wanted to hear more. Okay, let's go levels deeper. What is the reason that Daniel Cormier believes Alex Pereira, a 36-year-old kickboxer and MMA fighter, could be an Olympic champion and beat the likes of Sadulayev, Kyle Snyder, and Tajudinov? Because I just want to know why. Why does he think this? Because if he thinks it, he's got to have some great rationale behind it. He said, well, he cited some of his MMA fights and the difficulty that the other fighters had taking him down. Okay, well, there's a variable there in that he can kick them in their heads during that. And he can punch their faces. You can't do that in wrestling. So there's a dynamic, a variable involved that changes the entire equation, right? And then he also cited he's really strong. I'm like, I'm sure he is strong. I've seen some of his hits. He's a great fighter, no doubt. But the idea that anyone, Alex Pereira or any athlete, could come in and win a men's freestyle Olympic title, I think is ludicrous. I just don't think it's reality. Even if you have some experience with wrestling or combat sports, what you have to do to reach this level. I mean, Sadulayev would gut wrench him until they pull him off, 10-0, no problem. Tajudinov would have him in a cradle before he knew what hit him. Kyle Snyder would hand fight him into the earth because he can't punch, he can't kick. I don't know what Daniel Cormier said. I'm actually curious. Daniel, what did you think? You really think Alex Pereira could do this? And I know he's probably seen some things in the wrestling room. Maybe there's some aspects of it he's leaving out, you know, because maybe he said, hey, I saw this guy go up against this wrestler and he took him out and he did that. And maybe he's just secretly been training freestyle wrestling and we didn't know. But I don't know, man. He's a kickboxer from Brazil. That doesn't seem like probably what happened. And also you wear shoes. And I know that sounds like a weird thing, but kind of follow jiu-jitsu and grappling. The shoes make a big difference, right? That you're wearing shoes, kicking out versus not being able to kick out. The amount of force you're able to generate on a shot. It's just a totally different thing. So I only give this opinion great respect and reverence because it comes from the great Daniel Cormier. But I gotta say, I'm with Islam. I don't see it. I don't think it's possible. Do you think it's possible? Do you think you guys, I want to hear from you. Check me. Is it possible to take someone who has never competed in wrestling and in 2 years they could be an Olympic champion? Me, I say no way. I have a great reverence and respect for the process that is involved with becoming an Olympic champion. And I don't think anyone, even the great Alex Pereira, could do that in 2 years. What do you think?